Even great marriages can go through difficult times. Hello, y'all. I'm Diana Brienne. You know, people have this image of a long term marriage as one that is perfect or one that has gone through a lot of battles. And the truth is, any long term marriage is likely to have gone through things, difficult moments of one kind or another. Because life, even without a relationship, even as an individual, if you live long enough, you're probably going to have challenging and difficult moments. You know, the longer you're married, the more seasons you go through, the more experiences you go through, the more challenges you go through, because you go through them in life, whether you're with somebody or by yourself. You're just going along with someone else. You personally go through changes, and they're personally going through changes. And marriages are about building a great relationship, a solid relationship that can weather those storms. The marriages that generally last are the marriages that have a built-in foundation that can weather the difficult storms. They also know what to look for and what to avoid. Great marriages don't open themselves up to garbage. They stay away from the garbage. Anything that can negatively impact their marriage, they do the very best that they can to stay away from. When you have two people, that makes up a relationship. One person doesn't make up a relationship unless you are simply having a relationship with yourself in some way. We all have a relationship with ourselves, but a relationship is with two or more people. And in a marriage, it's with two people. And so the thing about it is, people often think that once you get married, it should be a smooth ride and that you don't have to invest any more time or energy or effort or anything else into a marriage. But the truth is, you do. Marriage, a great marriage, requires us to continuously pour in new positive energy, not just when we're dating and want to marry somebody, but long, long after we've gotten married. We've got to continue to nourish it, take care of it, and also be willing to weather the storms. You know, marriages can go through a lot of different things. And most marriages that have lasted a long time, if you actually talk to the people and they're being very honest, they probably have gone through things in that marriage that have been very challenging and difficult. The difference between them and people who've divorced or broken up the relationship is that they were willing to hang in there. They were willing to work through it. Now, if you have one person willing to work through something and another person's not willing to work through it, that marriage or that relationship of any kind is likely to fail. Even a friendship, if the relationship is out of balance with people wanting to invest in it and wanting to maintain it, if you have one person going this way and another person standing here, unless you're going that way with them, that relationship is likely going to fall apart. So there's a lot of give and take in a relationship, but ultimately it's got to come back to both people wanting that relationship. If only one person wants a relationship, it may not work, it may not last. But if you have two people willing to weather the storms together and make it through, that relationship is probably going to last. Especially if you have one person sometimes holding the other person up, and sometimes the other person's holding the other person up. And sometimes they're both holding each other up. And other times, they're busy celebrating all the wonderful that they have in their life. I believe in celebrating the wonderful. I believe in nourishing the wonderful. I believe in instilling wonderful into all of my relationships. And I instill positivity into my marriage on a daily basis, whether it's small things or big things. And yes, my marriage has weathered storms. And I don't know anyone who has a long-term marriage that has not weathered some kind of storm in their marriage. The key to it is being willing to weather those storms, knowing what storms to weather and knowing what storms not to. Yes, there are some relationships that should not probably go forward, but I think those are far and few between. I think a lot of people throw away a perfectly good marriage that's going through a challenging and difficult time because they think there's something better out there, something easier, something that they don't have to work at. Maybe they think that there's something wrong with their marriage because they have problems. But everybody gets problems in marriage. It's just a matter of whether you want to work through it or not. You've got to decide, do I want to work through this? Is this something that I want to work through? Is this something that I should work through? And really only you can determine that. Everyone is different. But I will just say that strong marriages, marriages that have lasted, have worked through their own things. They have chosen to work through them. Sometimes it's one person doing more of the work than the other person. But it usually balances out in the long run in healthy relationships. And even healthy relationships have challenges and difficulties. And they just know how to get through it. They work through it rather than throw the relationship away. Often unhealthy relationships don't work through it, or they don't have the tools to know how to work through it, so it becomes unhealthy. But healthy relationships know that they can work through it. They have the tools to work through it, or they develop or find the tools to work through it. But just remember, most people, if not all, who have had a long-term marriage have gone through their own challenges and difficulties. The difference is they were willing to work through them. And as I've said before, it's often better to work with what you've got than to start back over somewhere else with someone else. And then you're probably going to have a whole different set of problems anyhow that you've got to work with. It just all depends. Every relationship is different. Every situation is different. And some relationships maybe should have never been from the start. But the ones that have and should be right from the start, and that are basically a good, solid marriage, even those marriages can go through difficult times. And when I see people throw away a good marriage, it saddens me because I realize that, well, what are they going back out there for? They're going to find more problems in another relationship. And sometimes people carry with them unresolved problems. And sometimes they take the problems actually from that marriage and bring it into another marriage. And then they have all kinds of problems because they have the other person's problems, their problems, everybody's problems. So the key to it is knowing when to hold on, knowing when not to. And if your marriage is one that you should hold on to, then develop the skills that you need to learn to work through your difficulties and challenges. And remember, everybody, whether they're single or whether they're married, are going to go through challenging and difficult times. And it's just a matter of how you do it and how you get through those difficult and challenging times. And on the other end of it, the people that I've talked to that held on, every one of them were happy that they did. Okay? Well, from my house to yours, may God bless you. I hope you like, share, subscribe, and I hope to talk to you soon again. Bye-bye.